Before I start this video, I'm giving a quick trigger warning since this video contains discussion of CSA, SA, rape, and domestic abuse. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to discuss something that's barely discussed or I've seen videos of, which is Mariposa de Barrio, Trina and Jenny's relationship and how they were surrounded by male-centered pick-me's. This topic came to mind a few months ago when they've been thinking about Mariposa de Barrio, and pretty much the one thing that irked me when watching the Bio series, which was hard to watch because of the abuse scenes, was the number of male-centered pick-me's in this bio series. And for those who do not know what a pick-me is someone who keeps to the male gender for approval, essentially. And this will be a big discussion in my video, but for those who don't know who Jenny Rivera is, Jenny Rivera was a well-known regional Mexican singer known for an irreverent, controversial personality and public image. And before becoming a successful singer, she had to endure a hardship of domestic abuse and those closer to her being abused as well. So let's get right into the tale of Jenny Rivera and her marriage to Trino. Jenny Rivera was born Dolores Janie Rivera Saavedra on July 2nd, 1969, the first daughter of Pedro Rivera and Rosa Saavedra. Up until then, she had two older siblings, which were Pete and Gustavo. And until the birth of her sister Rosie, she was the girl in the family. As she had two more male siblings, Lupilo, who became a singer in his own right, and Juan. And when her sister Rosie was born, she was happy because she was the only girl in the family. And she had heard a lot being the only girl in the family, such as having her dolls being destroyed, so it's just to quote toughen her up, which I don't know how that's going to toughen her up. Her parents had a somewhat tumultuous relationship due to Pedro being a philanderer, but Rosa stuck out in the relationship as a gangster woman, which if you really think about it, set up the groundwork for her dysfunction with Trino. And for spoiler alert, Rosa eventually left Pedro when he had a baby out of wedlock. Eventually. And at a young age, Jenny stood up for herself, getting expelled from school for beating up on a boy who grabbed her inappropriately, and got fired from her job for defending herself against a touchy customer, which is like, how you're gonna lose your job for defending yourself against some inappropriate customer? But okay, fine. And for those wondering how she met this scumbag Trino, she met him at his workplace, which was a chicken restaurant with her friends, and he was familiar with her family since he knew her brother Gustavo. And Jenny developed feelings for Trino, who was 5 years older than her. Because for those wondering his job position there, he was the worker and general manager there. And she asked her dad permission to date Trino, which her dad allowed for some reason, because if I was a parent, I would not allow my 15-year-old daughter to date a 20-year-old man. But that seemed to be the standards at the time. And then one night, while they were out watching Purple Rain, of all movies, with her Trino, and Lupilo. While Lupilo was gone, Trino pretty much took advantage of the alone time to pretty much rape Jenny based on the way it was framed in Mariposa de Barrio, which led to her pregnancy with Chicas, her eldest daughter, whose real name is Janie. And when her mother found out that she fell pregnant, she got kicked out of the house, which is a horrible, sad thing, and had to bury/move in with Trino. And her dad didn't find out till he got back from work, and he just pretty much didn't intervene and just allowed it to happen. And while moving in, this is when she starts getting abused for the first time. It's with Trino being abusive towards her over every little thing. And this is while she is pregnant, by the way. And for those wondering why she couldn't turn to her sister, her in-laws for help, her in-laws wasn't fond of Jenny at all because of her being Mexican American, which on the outside looking in, I don't know what what her being Mexican American had to do with them hating her, considering that they're Mexican themselves. But I digress. Can someone explain that to me in the comment section, because that has always confused me or disgusted me. Forbidding her from attending school and abusing her for major slights, as I stated earlier. And the abuse got worse to the point Jenny tried to unalive herself with pills, which led to her being sent to this rehab program, where she was the youngest there and got a lot of the focus. And Jenny, and it's at this rehab program where she learns the Serenity Prayer, which is, and I quote, "Dear God, give me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." And she pretty much recovers, graduates from school, and starts attending community college, and eventually kicks Trino to the curb. But eventually, she ends up getting back with him because, and you gotta remember, Virginia, she's a teenager when all of this is happening. She's a teenager / young adult, and when all of this is happening. So you have to think of her mindset, because she was a teenager, and young adults and teenagers and young adults, they're prone to making stupid, regretful decisions. And she ends up becoming pregnant with their second daughter, Jackie. And then Trino, being a POS, kicked her in the stomach during her pregnancy with Jackie, which led to her leaving and moving in with her parents' garage and supporting herself working at a bank, where she eventually jumps in. And it's while working at the bank that she discovers she comes across a client with a lot of money, and the client earns said money from real estate, which led to her jumping into real estate. And it's around this time that Trino starts essaying Rosie, who was 7 or 8 years old at this time. And that, which pretty much makes him even more of a POS. When she has Jackie, Trino doesn't believe she's his because of his mom saying so. And his mom, Amparo, very dislikes Jenny so much alongside Yolanda. And they rationalize and defend Trino's treatment of her, thinking that calling her a slur, and I can't say the W word, but I'm going to say slur, and calling her a gringa despite her being not only being Mexican American, but she grew up in one of the traditional immigrant households where she was only supposed to listen to and consume Spanish language media and all that, despite even though she also had a diverse group of friends where she listened to gringo music. And she outright states that she only claims the children of her daughters, excluding Jenny and Trino's children. And during the trial, while during the trial, which I'll explain this later on, they wound up making a statement that backs up this claim. And they're not the only people that cape for Trino. Jenny has an aunt on her dad's side of the family named Louisa, who capes for the horrible men in his family, such as Pedro Trino. And in fact, it is T. Louisa that helped Jenny and Trino get back together. And when I say T. Louisa is one of the most unbearable, horrible characters in this novella, just watch for yourself. She's super horrible, and I would not want to have a family member like that. Jenny's brothers, they justifiably wanted to defend their sister against Trino, but their dad forbid them to, pretty much saying that let Jenny handle her own problem, which is not a good thing. That's wrong on so many levels. A brother should defend their sister no matter what. If they're in an abusive relationship, the brother should come in and beat the abuser's ass. I don't care. I don't care. You shouldn't be. Don't let your dad prevent you from defending your sister. And Jenny, yet again, gets back with Trino. And at this point, she starts working in real estate and gets him a job in real estate. And they wind up welcoming a son named after Trino, but he changed his name to Michael, and he's nicknamed to Mikey. Then one day, Jenny finally stands up to Trino after he puts his hands on her and calls the police on him, ending their marriage. And breaking free of the abuse. But wait, it's not over yet. Trino and Jenny, they decided to work out a custody agreement with the kids, and Trino moves on to essaying Chiquis when Rosie eventually comes of age. And Rosie, at this point, as a result of the trauma from the essay, she starts going on a downward spiral, engaging in drug abuse and promiscuous behavior. Then we jump to a few years ago in 1997, where Jenny is with a man named Juan, and they're expecting a child named Janika. That will be named Janika. They decided to attend a church gathering at Pete's church. And during the church gathering, they brought a prophet who chooses Rosie and pretty much states how Rosie should be free from the pain, is held back from the pain of SA, which shocks the Riveras. And a few weeks out of that gathering, Rosie, who at this point is a teenager, confesses to Jenny what Trino did to her in Chiquis. And Jenny takes her sister and her children to get examined, and the examinations revealed that Chiquis had been SA since she was a toddler, which is sad. And the same goes with Jackie, though she has no memory of it. And when the family tell Tia Louisa of this, Tia Louisa not only does not believe their stories, but she even believes they're lying because of pretty much what Rosie's pretty much, I can't say antics, but Rosie's troubles. She even has the ultimate gall to visit Trino and snitch on him, which leads to Trino running away and hiding in captivity. not hiding Otkatawi, going into hiding. And he doesn't resurface a few years later at a restaurant where he's cited by Rosie, which she reports to Jenny. And Jenny decides to go public with her sister and daughters about Trino's abusive behavior on Shariat. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Shariatan, a well-known talk show host, which leads to Trino getting caught, and they eventually go to trial. The Marin, you do think that the Marins would change their mind about Trino? They don't. They don't believe the girls were abused, despite evidence to the contrary. Supporting their stories, and pretty much insult the Riveras every chance they get, which one day leads to a big courtroom brawl with the families fighting each other. Like, can you imagine? And unfortunately, Juan wasn't there that day, because if Juan was there, half the Marins would have been in the hospital. And after that courtroom brawl, Jackie or Jaquez recalled how when they were close with their dad, their cousins would get better toys while they received scraps from their grandmother, which pretty much showed how much their grandmother despised them. Trino eventually gets convicted and sentenced to 31 years in prison, much to the sadness of the Barons and the joy of the Riveras. Though, on a sad note, he has recently been let out because of his victims for forgiving him, and that's the basis why he got let out. And let's face it, you gotta love the American justice system. And that is the end of my recap of Jenny and Trino's tale and Mariposa de Barrio. And now let's discuss the big elephant in the room, which is Trino's family and T. Louisa's male-centered mind/pick-me mindset. The Marin sister and mother and Tia Louisa, they're so male-centered, it's not funny. It's not even funny. Their male-centeredness pretty much blocked them from recognizing abuse and from reporting it. And to this day, the real-life Marins, they don't acknowledge Chiquez and don't want a relationship with her unless she take back what she stated about her father, which she has refused. And it's very disturbing and sad. And unfortunately, this is very common in Mexican culture. And I'm not trying to play the stereotypes, but internalized misogyny, male-centeredism, and machismo, it seems to be a common thing in some parts of the Latino community. And things like that is why femicide and abuse happen, because you got these male-centered pygmies caping for the men, despite them being obviously abusers, and cover for them when they get caught or when they do something bad. And this is not just a Latino example. A good example of this within the black community is Michelet. Michelet, in her movie, she recounted how she had a grandmother who pretty much told her every time a man hits on her, she has to fix it, and she has to stay in that relationship no matter what, even comparing being in an abusive relationship to working at a job that pays you well. And it was only when Michelle fell off the deep end and from drugs and alcohol and had to go to rehab that her grandmother realized the error of her ways and regretted giving her that advice. And then another example is Roshana Landfair. Now, for those living under a rock do not know who Roshana Landfair is, Roshana Landfair was the girl that was groomed and preyed on by R. Kelly in that CSA tape that went viral back in the pre-internet, back in the 2000s. And when She recently came out with a book telling her story. She got death threats from a lot of female R. Kelly fans. And yes, I'm going to say female since most of R. Kelly's fan base are female. And there are still female R. Kelly fans that still keep for this man despite the obvious evidence of his guilt. In fact, I'm thinking about doing a, a video on the trial of R. Kelly episode for the Boondocks, so stay tuned for that if I do that video. And recently, we have Anna Duggar, the wife of Josh Duggar, who's currently in jail for CSAM material, who had the disgusting nerve to state that CSAM slash cheese pizza shouldn't be considered abuse. Are you, are you, I'm at a loss for words right now. Your husband literally owned Daisy's Destruction, one of the worst examples of cheese pizza ever, made by a sicko named Peter Scully. And you had the nerve to made that statement knowing that there are children that are actually getting abused in these videos. Oh my god, I'm so frustrated right now. And clearly disgusted by what Anna Duggar said. She needs to worry about her children and her husband and her husband's family, who are abuser protectors, seeing as that Josh literally abused his sisters and they literally covered for him and covered it up by having him talk to a friend of theirs from the police. That family is so problematic. I'm surprised there needs to be a case discussed on that family ASAP, because that family is so problematic. All in all, I'm so disgusted by the behaviors of Trino's family and T. Louisa, because they don't help. They pretty much set women back by many years, and pretty much enable abuse, femicide, and other things. Not to mention, Tony Garza did a hell of a job portraying Trino as a scumbag that he is. Like, he did that job so well, it makes you hate him, literally. But all in all, that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe and share this video. Until, and the lesson pretty much to leave for this video is don't be a male-centered pick-me, because you're going to enable crimes such as domestic abuse, CSA, femicide, and other things. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I say earlier, like, subscribe, and comment. And until then, goodbye.